Welcome back. With me right now is Steve Parsons, who is on the third board. In fact, he's the first vice president. And today you're here. You're filling in for Rosemary. She's not feeling well, and you're kind of filling in a little bit for the treasurer report. But really, you're going to talk about who's taking over that. You used to do it, so I think you're well capable. So welcome, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks. Nice. Good to be here.
So first is strategic planning, and this is looking at a 3 to 5 year kind of a program, right?
Right.
And it's something that I think other boards are looking at it too, more short-term things.
Yeah. For Third Mutual, we've been meeting over the last month, and we'll still have some more meetings coming up. And we're looking at not only the requirements for next year, but over the next 5 years.
Right.
And we're doing things like, can we slow down some programs to put money into other programs and accelerate them, such as waistline remediation.
Right.
We know that really pays off. It stops leaks, things like that. So can we somewhat cannibalize some other programs that we've come up to a certain level that's acceptable right now, and maybe divert some funds that way.
And some of those, I know you've talked about this in the past, that you know, putting them out on a much longer plan could end up costing more money, like the waistline. Not just the cost of the rising cost of repairs, but the problem that you could have these things leaking or bursting or whatever could be happening. So the sooner something like that gets fixed, the better.
Insurance companies would appreciate that also.
Yes, I bet they would.
So another thing that we've done recently is our CEO, Jeff Parker, had pulled together a meeting for strategic planning, and the people that were in it were all of the executive councils for the different mutuals, United, Third, GRF. And that was the presidents, vice presidents, secretaries, and treasurers. We spent a whole day together, and some things we came up with, I'll just mention.
Sure.
Some 3-year goals that we're looking at for the entire village is to ensure financial stability and longevity. And looking at how programs work that way. These are not in any priority sequence, by the way.
All right.
Okay. Improve customer service to meet residents' needs and concerns. We're doing some automation and things there. Attract, develop, and retain highly qualified staff. Implement technology advances and upgrade our infrastructure. And we all know that a lot of us are definitely involved in infrastructure upgrade. But how can we balance these things out? You know, you can't really be lopsided in a lot of these things. Right. You got to keep a lot of things going at the same time. But anyway, there's going to be more to come on that, more to come on strategic planning for Third Mutual as well. Okay,
very good. You also wanted to talk about the new treasurer. Unfortunately, Jack Connolly had to leave the board.
Well, he's going to remain on the board. It's just his health issues.
Very good.
Have taken him where he can't spend as much time as he'd like to.
Okay, that's good.
So
I didn't know
he's still going to be involved with the investment committee that's going on.
Very good.
As well as working with the committee for water.
Okay.
But in the meantime, last week we nominated and elected John Pearlstone to become the new treasurer, and he comes from a CPA background, definitely into finding nuts and bolts, things like that. Sometimes you have to slow him down a little bit.
Okay.
But he's young and it's great.
All right. Now, another important thing, as we know, is energy, and you know, there's a task force that all the boards are involved with, which is a good thing because this affects everyone, regardless of where they live.
Yeah, and I really like that task force. They have to look out several years in advance and see where the industry is going to be, see where they want us to be, and then we have to figure out how to make that work into our plans, if we can even do that.
Okay.
So these are people that come from strong backgrounds, and we like that. We also incorporate some of the energy things in our M&C committee, maintenance and construction. So some things that we're working on here in our own M&C area is to evaluate the infrastructure as we have it and what we need for future years. We're working with 2 consultants. One is for street lighting, and you know, we're in that right now. We just had a pilot, and we're getting ready to develop another pilot that's coming on shortly. We have another company that's working with our total infrastructure on energy. They're going through all of Third Mutual, seeing what we have, and based on what we give them, where we need to be, what we need to do. For instance, we may need to change our transformers.
Right.
They're such low right now in drawing power that we need more power to all the units. That's why we can't do some things in here.
Okay.
And you know, some people might like to have an inline hot water heater receptacles and things like that.
Right.
We can't do that because it draws too much power.
Okay.
So if we can upgrade, then we can go ahead and look at things like that, which we don't do right now. But future things that we're looking at too is not only our transformers, but potential backup energy systems for one reason or another. We know some things are coming down the pike, and as everybody is talking about electric vehicle charging stations.
Right.
Now, we have already looked, and there's a group looking for GRF, but we want to look at within third. And one of the reasons we say that is there's an article that's published by the Rutgers, and they interviewed the Ford Motor Company executives.
Right.
And they said by 2022, they're going to produce 40 electric and hybrid vehicles. Out of that, 16 are going to be total electric. The rest are going to be hybrids.
Right.
This also includes pickups. Okay, so we know that we're going to have to be changing gradually somewhere down the line. So how do we want to accommodate that and put it in our plan so we can financially handle it?
Well, when it comes to the charging stations, I know with the Energy Task Force, are you looking at all this together with these? I know this is just starting.
Sure.
But what would these be just for third, or are you looking for third and United? Because if you put them somewhere, unless it's in the third story, the three-story buildings and below, if they're out somewhere else, who's to say that someone else is not going to come and use that? So is this going to be all
that's
for
true.
one?
There are safeguards and ways of doing that.
Right.
Like you can run leads. You may have a strip card that identifies you solely, and that will charge you for whatever you're using in your vehicle. So there are things like that already out there being worked on. Okay. As far as a total plan for the village, don't know at this time if there's going to be one, but United's going to have to deal with this from their side. We're dealing with it from our side. So it's quite a comprehensive thing to try to go through.
Yes, it is.
Because it's coming at us like a freight train.
Yeah.
So,
anyway. I mean, you're right. If you just see how many more people are driving vehicles like this just in the last 3 years, I'm sure it's probably doubled. It's going to double again and again and again, even at a more rapid rate.
Well, the closer we get to 2022, where many of the automobile manufacturers are going to be producing electric and hybrid vehicles, it's going to put it out there where, what are you going to buy? You're going to buy a gas vehicle, you're going to buy electric.
Yeah.
You know, and then they'll become more scarce, and I'm talking about the gas vehicles.
Yeah.
So there will be a transition period there, and we're going to have to be able to accommodate it.
Right.
So.
All right, Water Committee.
Okay, water rates on the horizon are going to be going up. We already know that. We've had people from the El Toro Water District come in and talk to us. They've told us, for instance, like the way they calculate how many gallons per person in a household, it's a little over 1.5. And they allocate 55 gallons per person, per day. We know that in the near future, that's probably going to go down to 50 gallons per person per day. And as we get farther out, it'll probably go down lower than that. But for us on the board, we allocated $2.7 million this year. And we're going to be real close to that. We don't want to see that go up anymore, so we have to take steps to try to even that out if we can, make it level or bring it down a little bit, so under 2.7 million.
Okay.
So we're having to look at things like taking grass out in certain areas, putting in plants that are drought tolerant. Okay, so we're developing plans like that along the way. And even some residents have given us some ideas how we can approach that in different ways. So that's all being considered right now. Other things are internal to a household. Can you get these heads that you can push a button on it on your shower head, and while you're soaping off, it doesn't shoot out any water. Okay, those are already available. There's like 6 different styles over at Home Depot.
Right.
Is it better to take a shower or take a bath? It's really, if you're in and out, showers are by far the best.
Right.
So things like this, and it's going to take an education process on all of our parts, because even though we're out of a drought situation, it's still they're going to be imposing limits on us. So we got to get used to this whole, possibly a new way of life as it deals with water.
Okay.
So.
All right, and also board openings are coming up.
Yeah. This fall, starting in July, people can make application to run for a third mutual board. Right now, there are going to be 3 positions that are up either for renewal of someone or just for new people.
Okay.
And Rosemary, our president, for instance, has to rotate off, so that's one position that's definitely going to be open. possibility of another one that'll be open. So we'll see where it goes from there. But I want to encourage people to take the time and really become engaged in your community, and come in July and pick up an application and see what's there.
Okay, very good. And you know, now's the time people want to think about it, at least start to look and go to some of the meetings and such,
Yes.
and see what it involves.
Yeah.
That's probably the best step, and you
Oh,
got
absolutely.
time to do that.
Get on committees if you can too.
All right, anything else you'd like
So-
to add for today?
That's it for today. Hopefully Rosemary will be back at a future time and cover some more subjects.
All right, Steve, thank you. Always good to
Okay.
see you. We'll be right back.